ban or not to ban? To build a wall or not to build a wall? Those are the questions. Now, I hope you didn't start building up your wall now that you know what I'm going to be talking about today. The reason I'm talking about it is because there's a new wall being built. And I'm not talking about the one between the United States and Mexico. I'm talking about the one in Paris that's going to be surrounding the Eiffel Tower. Yes, can you believe that? The world has come to that. I'll get to the Paris wall in a minute, but let me just start from when I was a senior in high school. And I wrote in people's yearbooks a poem by E. Cummings, who was and is still my favorite poet. He wrote, "This world is all a leak, and life preservers there are none, and waves which only he may walk, who dares to call himself a man." Now, if the world was a leak back then, it's a lot more a leak now. And the life preservers that we have been choosing, that people have been choosing, are walls and bans to protect ourselves from the flood of ISIS and other terrorists. Let's look at the Paris Wall. I lived in Paris for years, and the idea of being on top of the Eiffel Tower, looking down and seeing a wall, which reminds us that the world is at war, is really a sad thought. But at the same time, let's figure out why they needed to build that wall. Ever since the attacks on Paris 2 years ago, Paris, France, actually, has been on high alert. Not only were there the attacks in Paris, but then there was the trucker in Nice and the general unrest in Europe. So it came to pass that Paris decided that they would replace the temporary wall that they had put up around the Eiffel Tower once the city started being attacked. It was just a temporary wall of metal, a fence, with something that's prettier and more permanent. This 8-foot wall is going to be made of glass, and it's bulletproof, and it's going to be, preserving as much as possible the beauty of the site and yet protecting people at the same time. So probably, I think, the reason why this announcement came now at the heels of what happened last week is because they were reminded just last week of the danger that they're still under. As you may know, a week ago or so, an Egyptian man came to Paris and bought machetes and went to the Louvre complex, the museum, and started attacking soldiers at the Louvre with his machetes and yelling, "Allahu Akbar, God is great." They were able to, they fought back, of course, and he was in critical condition. And I'm not sure of his current medical status, but they fought back, and he was neutralized, shall I say. But it reminded them, it was a very clear reminder that the threat is nowhere near gone. And I think that precipitated their then deciding they would build the wall. Now, of course, the wall that you're much more familiar hearing about is the wall between the U.S. and Mexico. And the bad hombres that have been talked about as the reason for the wall is not just drug dealers and other kinds of criminals. It's the bad hombres who are terrorists and who have been realizing that the border with Mexico is an easy place to come across to America. Now, I have to admit that I am actually for the bans and walls on a temporary basis. I am hoping that these things will not have to be in place forever. And I'm encouraging you today to please be patient. Now, in a leaky world, things get very mixed up. ISIS is actually using the fact that we've created this ban, or it's sort of being in the process of being created, enacted. They are calling it the blessed ban, because for ISIS, it's a way for them to recruit more people and to use it because they're saying that America hates Islam. Well, America doesn't hate the religion of Islam. America hates jihadists who have hijacked the religion of Islam in order to get people to join them and to fight. They have misinterpreted the Quran in order to try to get people to join them to take over the world. Now, I know what you're thinking, just as I am. The world would be a much more beautiful place if people were able to roam free and so on, and live happily together, not making any of these walls and bans and distinctions. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. But temporarily, this is what we need. You know, it's kind of sad and ironic. The Eiffel Tower was built in 1889, and it was the entrance and the symbol of a World's Fair, a peaceful place where the world was coming together, and now there's a wall around it. Yes, it's very sad, but here's a beacon of hope. Once upon a time, there was the Berlin Wall in 1961. It was built, and it came down in 1989. Now, whether you agree with whether it should have been built or not, and I'm not offering my opinion about that, but it did come down. And I think we can all look to that as something that will hopefully come down in our lifetime, all these bans and walls that we're building up. But as the terrorist therapist, I feel that it's important to me to keep you all safe and calm. So for the time being, the bans and walls, I think, will keep us safe.